Aloha Star family. I trust this video finds you well. If you don't already know, my name is June, and today I want to share my ayahuasca slash starseed awakening story. The reason why I say that is because ayahuasca plays such a significant role in my journey and my awakening process, and it's very intertwined with like the whole starseed aspect and energy of it all. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just like, yeah. So anyways, I want to start off by saying that I've actually done a little over a dozen ceremonies, okay, by now. However, I want to share like my very first um, set of ceremonies. It was like a 3 night journey. And this actually happened around 2013. It was New Year's Eve 2013. Um, okay, so backstory really quick. So my awakening actually began in 2011. And basically, it was like the summer of 2011. My birthday's in July, so it was like coming to my 25th birthday. And so I basically was, long story short, I got to a place within myself where I wasn't happy with what I was seeing, like physically. And it was very superficial. And I basically felt like I was gaining too much weight. Like that's how it all began. And so in that, I was just like, okay, well, let me find some ways to like, to like lose weight, to be cute, to look good or whatever. And I stumbled upon veganism and the idea of veganism. So basically, it was just all about diet. And I was like, okay, so for whatever reason, there was like something in me that, I don't know, just resonated. So I was like, okay, well, this sounds cool. Like, let me try this. Little did I know the rabbit hole like that I was getting myself into. So it started off with diet and literally just being cute, wanting to be cute. And so from there, from veganism, I, did a little bit more research, and for however reason, it got me on the path of just like energy healing and like energy medicine. And the first thing that came to me was Reiki. So I've always been, well, like I'm half Filipino and half Black, and so culturally, like in the Philippines, we've always had like this. We've always believed in like the supernatural and the spirit and like and all those like energy, the world of energy and those kind of things and the occult. So I was already like kind of like inclined to like the idea, like there was something in me like that connected with it, the idea of like energy healing and Reiki in that way. So I was like, okay, so I started going to Reiki, and fast forward, it was probably like, yeah, so from Reiki, shout out to Sahara in Tampa, Florida. She was basically my Reiki healer, and she would do like group meditations. So, anyways, I went to group meditations, met a dear friend named Jennifer, and she invited me to Peru. Okay, mind you, I was not like seeking plant medicine. This was just all me, just, just being in the moment, just like going through life, just like having a good time, just like, okay, like seeing, well, like what's going on, like what's the tea, you know what I'm saying? So, so she invited me to Peru, and with this group named Pulse Tours, and she basically, I heard a little bit about ayahuasca from my younger brother, but that was something, like I said, I never like sought it out. Like it wasn't something I was like particularly interested in, but I literally was just like, well, I actually don't have a reason not to go. Like I don't have a reason to say no. I was like, okay, so I was just invited on this like wild adventure. Like, what do I have to lose? I'm just like, okay, yeah, like let's do it. Let's go. Let's go to the Amazon. Let's go to the jungle. It'll be a good time. So, yeah, so she ended up having to cancel on me on the trip, and she, for whatever reason, it fell through for her, and she wasn't able to go. And I was like, okay, great. So literally, I'm by myself in this, and I've already like put in like the energies and like made my payments, deposit, blah, 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 whatever, to go on this trip, and she wasn't able to go. So I just, just in my nature of risk taking and spontaneity, I thought, okay, well, you know what? Like, fuck it, whatever. Let's just do it. Let's go. This is gonna be fun. I'm crazy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so I went to Peru, and it was to be a 3-night ceremony. It was for, like I said, it was like New Year's Eve. It was like 2012 New Year's Eve to 2013. Okay, so it was like, I think it was like a week-long journey, but we were only going to do ceremony for 3 nights. So it'd be like New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and then the day after that, right? So those are 3 nights. So went to Peru, incredible, transformative, whatever. Okay. So just even that, just it was just I mean, just being in the jungle alone, so healing and transformative, swimming. Well, no, I didn't go into the Amazon River. Well, actually, yeah. But there was like dolphins, pink dolphins, and we did have an opportunity to swim. I think I did do a little dip, but I was like low key spooked because I was just like, like piranhas and whatever else is like down there or whatnot. But so yeah. Okay, so 3 nights. So very, very gorgeous, in the jungle in the heart of the Amazon, and in a beautiful Maloka, and the most epic, just amazing shamans. I, to this day, don't know if I would have, like, the courage to drink without someone there facilitating. I do know a lot of people who do. But anyways, back to the story. So yeah. So the very first night, it was a nice group. I think there was just like maybe like maybe, well, it was not that big, maybe like 10 of us, like 10 or 11 of us. Such a sweet, just like tribe of us, like soul family for sure, you know. But yeah, so like I said, I was the only one there, and I was just literally just meeting everyone for the first time. So it was just such a journey. But anyway, so yeah, the first night, it was interesting. The medicine itself, it was just very strong, very powerful, dark. And I say that also because I have drank in other countries. I've drank in like Portugal and here in Hawaii, and the medicine's like different everywhere, especially if it's grown locally. Like the medicine here in Hawaii is a little bit more lighter, that I would say, than the medicine in the Amazon. But yeah, so the first night it was interesting. It wasn't actually a lot going on for me. When you drink the medicine, it kind of gives you have this response, like this bodily response. And basically, you want to purge, right? So the idea is, to bring in and take on as much as you can, hold it in and hold it, and you don't want to like throw up right away. Of course, it's different for everyone, but the idea is, in my opinion, it's it's very just purifying. So it's like the idea is like purification. So, we do prepare, and the days leading up to ceremony, it was a lot. Diet is a thing. So, eating clean, no spices, very light. I think it was, I think the diet is I think it's like vegan based. I don't know if we did have fish. I don't know, but like no spices. So very simple, basic, very clean, high frequency meals because we want to make sure the body is prepared to receive the medicine, and like I said, and to basically hold it down because you don't want anything in the way of that. For me, the first night was, yeah, nothing really happened. We drank. I drank as much as I can. Medicine songs, the very beautiful or whatever, and the ceremony lasted about 8 hours. So we started, I don't know, sometime in like, I don't know, maybe between like 6 to 8 p.m. But yeah, so not much happened for me that night. I feel like, well, anyways, it all come together in the end. But yeah, I was still kind of just like, it was just the medicine working with me. You know what I mean? So it works differently with everyone. But for me, and that was my very, very, very first time drinking. So I feel like it was just kind of just like, acclimating me and, with like the next couple of days. So not really much happened. Like I said, I just drank it. And I remember, I do remember, oh yeah, so I did purge 100%. I did throw up, but as far as like psychedelic, transformative, like crazy wild experiences goes, it wasn't there for me. It was all kind of just like very physical. And I was just like throwing up, feeling a little nauseous, feeling a little sick or whatever, but nothing crazy, okay? That was the first night. All right. So, and I just want to say also, just mention, like, and then the very next day, the very next morning, we did come together and we share our experiences. And just kind of like, just to integrate the night before, and it just helps us to kind of process everything. And yeah, we just share our experience or whatever with each other moving forward. Yeah. So then the second night, very, 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 crazy and interesting and insane. So this is when things got a little crazy and intense. So, we start the ceremony, beautiful songs, medicine songs. And so we go up and we drink our first dose. So they, the shamans will give you it's like a shot of medicine, and then throughout the night you're free to, like, every few hours they'll call, like, whoever is called to drink more is free to go ahead and do that. But anyways, so the second night, this is for me, well, actually, it's funny because it was actually very it was a very collective experience, I would say. Like, it wasn't just me, it was like the group went through like this very intense purge. And it was just basically it was a very, very, very hellish experience. Oh gosh, it was bad. Yeah, so we drank the medicine, held it down, you're starting to feel it, like it's like kicking in, and you're feeling it like work through your body, and it's just very interesting experience to describe. It feels like, for me, it feels like, I don't know if you're like, if people are like, I don't know, maybe it's just when you're on the medicine, but it's just almost like this dream state. It's like definitely like an altered state. It's like when you're dreaming, right? So it's very crazy. But anyways, I went through this all of a sudden, like every nasty, like disgusting emotion, energy, and thought, just all of this density just started to come up from like the depths of like my cells and my being. And I remember, oh my God, it was literally the worst night of my life. Like, I thought I was gonna die. So literally every single nasty thought, like I was just like, I was like, oh my God. Wow. I was just letting go, it was just this process of letting go. So I was just like cursing and just, nasty words and just violence, just like the worst thoughts, ideas, energies, everything, all happening at once. It was all happening at once, and I felt like shit. I felt like I wanted to die. All of my fears, everything, I was just literally going crazy, like just cursing everything out in my mind, like the universe, and it was just it was insane. You know what I'm saying? And I remember like the people like that were sitting next to me, like they were going through it, like throwing up like crazy, like we were fucking sick, like dying, literally dying. I felt like death. And like I said, and the people, everyone else that I was sitting with, they were also going through their own personal fears and traumas and hellish experiences. It was so scary. Yeah, like, girl, fetal position, just crying to God, to universe, like begging for. Woo! It was like so expansive, so heart opening, so healing. Yeah, it was the absolute worst. Yeah, so I just went through it like the whole second night. Death. Death of the ego, death of the self, death of the mind. Yeah, like I said, it was just all of my shit like coming to the surface and just experiencing it. So it's heart opening because like the process of letting go wasn't without the experience and the feeling, right? It wasn't just like, oh, like I'm just gonna throw this up and this is just all gonna release out of my field. It was like, no, like I had to process everything. Like I was feeling everything. Like all of those dark, distorted energies of like everything I felt. I felt and I experienced, and then therefore I was able to like let go. So I had to go through all of that first. So literally that was the whole second night, just purifying. It was just so insane because like, you hear stories like of, oh yeah, like it's gonna be like this amazing experience and you're gonna meet, blah blah blah, and just like, no, it wasn't like that for me. It wasn't magical at all. You know what I'm saying? It killed me. It literally killed me. That was the second night. Okay. Nice. Okay, second day, we're integrating and processing, the group is sharing their experiences. And of course, everyone was just like, oh my God, it was like the absolute worst. All of our fears and things, just dark, demonic, just like everything. Just the perception of just like, it was just, like I said, it was literal hell. It was hell. Yes. Okay. Moving forward. Third night, it was like, oh my goddess, like, thank God, girl. Third night, almost done, almost over, zero expectations. Also, mind you, I would like to also share and mention that before coming into every ceremony, we are asked to have an intention. So going into ceremony and working with, because ayahuasca is a intelligent being, right? It's like mother, grandmother energy. And she knows what's up. Like she knows who we are. I mean, it's all that is. It's like everything. It's just so much love. But it's like the spirit of the medicine of the earth. And the jungle and just everything and all that is, right? So yeah, so she knows what's going on. So, when we work with the medicine, it is good to go in with an intention. So we can, we have some kind of, I don't know, path or journey that we can take. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just like, oh, whatever, which it can be, I don't know, but I've always had an intention going into it. So for me, so going back, thinking back, yeah, so for me, it was just like, oh, like, yeah, I did have intentions of I just want to be me, just who am I? I just want to be, I just want to clear all of my fears, like letting go of my fears or whatever. I just want to be more in tune, more in touch with myself. Like those were really like the things, like nothing crazy, nothing heavy, right? Third night. Okay. Last night, okay, so the first night, nothing, the first two nights, nothing really, like the first night was just like, okay, fine, light purge, whatever. Second night, death, hell, the absolute worst. destruction, dying. That was it. Third night, I'm like, okay. I didn't really had zero expectations at this point. I was a little sad and disappointed just because I don't know, I kind of thought that um yeah, like I said, you hear all these amazing stories of like these like being like ayahuasca and stuff, but I didn't have any of that. It wasn't like that for me at all. And again, it does work with you, and she meets you with where you're at. She meets you with where you're at, which is really heart opening. So it's never going to be more than you can handle, even though, I mean, yeah. So, anyways, even if you think it's too much, it's exactly enough and everything that you need. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, it's just such an intelligent force of everything, of energy. So the third night, I don't remember exactly what my intentions were, but I think it was just more, again, just the self, like who am I, like I just want to know more about myself. But it was just very general, very light, nothing crazy. Okay. Drank the medicine, beautiful songs, beautiful ceremony, and I'm just like there, you're feeling the energy move through you, work through you. Yeah, it's like there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it at all. And you can just feel your body kind of just like disappearing. It's like, I don't know, it is a very outer body experience, right? It's like it's just like everything just dissolves and melts away. Oh my gosh, I'm like kind of getting like emotional, like thinking about it and talking about it. So heart opening. But yeah, so by the third night, that's when everything's finally like kind of started to take place. So you're feeling you're feeling the energies, and you're starting to like see like the patterns, and just the colors and rainbows and like kaleidoscope energy and just like reflections and everything is just so beautiful, and just like your vision is just starting to get really, it just starts to get like quantum. And that is like a few hours into my ceremony. It was so crazy. I just came into like, I was just feeling all these energies, like my energy body, like my sensitivity started to awaken and emerge, right? So again, like the first 2 nights was all about like letting go and purging all the density that was in my field. But by the third night, I was coming into like my sensitivity and my feeling. And in that, the first thing that happened was I felt this insane amount of just like love, and it's just love, basically, just this high frequency of love and just like warmth. And anyways, and then that's when it happened, when my higher self, I met my higher self for the very first time, or reconnected with my higher self for the very first time. And that's when my higher self came through and was just like, this is me. Like, this is me. This is you. And I mean, at that moment, basically I lost it. I just like bawled. I was just like bawling, crying. And I was like, it was just so heart opening, because I was like, oh my gosh, like, I know this energy. I know this energy. Like, it's been, I'm sorry, I'm just like getting emotional, but like, this has been with me my whole entire life. You know what I mean? Like, this love has been with me my whole entire life, my whole journey. Like, I knew it, like I felt it. But it was just kind of like buried deep within all this other stuff like that was going on. Like, and I didn't know what that energy was. I didn't know it was me. And I mean, we all as human beings experience this, obviously, right? Like, we never lose touch with ourselves. Like, that connection is always there. Like, it's never lost. We're just not always aware of what that is, right? We just not always aware of who we are, because the conditioning, the density and the feelings, like everything else, and the environment, whatever, from the outside, it's very hard. We're conditioned. We're not raised to know ourselves and to feel ourselves, to have that awareness. But yeah, so I met my higher self, and it was so, I mean, like I said, I bawled. It was just like crazy, and like just sitting with my energy and feeling my energy for like the very first time that I can remember. I mean, it was just like pure bliss, love, and joy, and just everything, celebration. It was just so, I mean, that was it. Like, that was my moment. It was like, oh my gosh, like, this is me. Thank you. I'm good. I'm done. Like, life is, I'm like done. Like, I could die. I could move on from here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's over. But no, so that was the very first thing. So I just sat with myself for a moment and just like really processed that and just cried and just felt myself and just so much gratitude. But anyway, so then after that, I met my higher self and just opened that channel, the channel with myself, right? And the best way so for me and how I express and share this with other people is love, right? Love. So, and not the romantic love, but when you feel love, that feeling, your experience of you feeling love, that is actually, that's you. Like, that's your energy. Like, that's your frequency. Like, that's your signature. It's not like this external love or this love that's coming from the outside. It's literally your love, yourself, your higher self, your frequency, your connection, your divinity, your everything. Like, that is your spark. That is your spark of the whole, of the creator of all that is. That is you. That is your love. So that's me. So I met myself and I was like, okay, yay, thank you. Grateful, whatever. And then that's when everything, like everyone else started, like all of my team, and I met my team, my guide. So the first guide to come through was who I like to refer to as Uncle Yeshua, but it was Yeshua, it was Jesus. So Yeshua came through, that was the first guide, and of course it was basically like a family reunion moment. I had a family reunion. It was like, hey, like welcome back to like reality. It's like you're awake, like you woke up, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh my gosh, I'm here. But yeah, so Yeshua came through and he was just like, I'm your guide. He was basically he is my main guide to this, he's the one who's walked this path with me from day one, holding my hand through everything. And he was just like, yeah. And he was just like telling me about myself and like who I am. He was like, oh my God, so crazy. He was just like, so one of the first things he told me was, so I'm part of like the Christ collective, the Christ energy, this Christ frequency. And he was like, this is who you are. You are Christ, the collective of Christ, this group of Christ, this is your family, Christ is your family. And then he told me my mission, basically, why I'm here. And I had no idea what any of this like really meant at the time, but he was just like, you're a healer. He was like, you're a healer, you're an energy healer. I mean, little did I know like the gravity of what that was or what that meant, like I said, but I was just like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, how? Like, I don't know. He didn't go into details with me about that at the moment, but he just told me I was a healer, and that was like my blueprints. And I was like, okay, thank you. And then he introduced me to other members of the family. Mother Teresa came through. God bless her. I love you. Thank you. And she came through, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, and these are things like, it just kind of blew me. You know what I mean? These are things that I don't think about. Like I had no idea like of any of this, in my field, in my, in my energy or whatever. Like I didn't know who I was. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like most people on the planet, just walking around just like, oh yeah, and 3D or whatever, and third density. But anyway, Mother Teresa came through and she was just like, hey, like, we're here, I'm part of your family. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you, so much love. And just all the Christed beings. And then I had like, my grandfather came through, and I had other like crossover loved ones that came through, and which was very sweet. And my grandfather came through on my mom's side, Filipino side. And he was just like, he was there with me as well and guiding me and supporting me on my journey. And yeah, so then after the family reunion, which was so sweet, so meeting myself, my team, my family, my journey, my mission, my blueprint, my code, whatever. I literally spent the rest of the ceremony like blissed out, just like blissed out, blissing out. Period. Like I just laid there and I was just like looking at the stars and I just knew everything was all is well. Just like laughing, you know what I mean? Just like laughing at my like circumstances and like the things that I had set up for myself. And I just laughed and I was like, oh yeah, I just saw like why things were the way that they were. Like everything was intentional. And I was just like laughing at myself. I was like, oh, that's the reason why that is. And that's why that's like that. And just reflecting on my life and my reality. And just like I said, like knowing everything was going to be okay, was going to be well, and my whole life was basically like everything was all laid out for me. So like, okay, so I just like laid there and just chilled with the guides, with my star family and the universe basically, and just yeah. And that was it. That was my third ceremony. Oh yeah, so in that, so here's the crazy part. So with my life plan being unfolded to me, the guides were basically just like, okay, so the very first thing we want you to do, or your first step, like moving forward, um, after you leave the jungle, is you have to move. So at the time, I was living in Tampa, Florida, which, by the way, like obsessed, best life ever. I loved my life. Um, I loved everything. I was very in that whole materialism and like material everything, cars, money, clothes, boys, everything, shoes, all that stuff, right? So like that was and I loved it, girl. Like, anyways, so yeah, the best life ever. However, the guides were saying, okay, like time to move on. Like this part of your journey is over. It's come to a completion, and we want you to spend some time alone and some to be in solitude. And I was like, okay. I was like, where the hell am I going? You know what I'm saying? Like, where am I going? So basically, I was guided to. So I grew up here in Hawaii. Um, my father, I'm an Air Force brat, so we did spend some time here in Hawaii. So basically, they wanted me to come back here. They were like, we want you to go back to Hawaii. Long story short, I was guided to move to this little island that I've never heard of. It's called Molokai, here in the center of the Hawaiian Islands. And I was guided to go there, and this place was tiny, the most Hawaiian island that there is. Literally like 8,000 people. I knew no one, knew nothing. And that was it. They were like, that's your next step. Go there. And I was like, okay, whatever. So yeah, so next morning, very sweet, heart opening. My frequency at this point was through the roof, obviously, like, and I was just like laughing. And all throughout ceremony, I was laughing so much, to the point to where, I don't know, it could have been even disturbing to like the other people going through their own things. Cause like I said, everyone's journey is different, right? So not everyone experiences what I would call what I had, or what I've heard anyways, is like a breakthrough moment or whatever is what people have called it. But not everyone has that. Not everyone allows themselves to like let themselves go there. Like I know so many friends who drink medicine and they only get to like a certain point, but they're too spooked to like let themselves fully go to the other side. Sometimes, like I said, like you're purging. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, for me, the first 2 nights was all purge, and then the third night, that's when I had my moment and whatever. And not everyone does have that. Not everyone's meeting star family and star guides and other ETs and extraterrestrials and ghosts and or whatever, spirits or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And even then, again, like I said, those are my first 3 ceremonies. It wasn't until later on, till I started even having even more, psychedelic, multi-dimensional quantum experiences. This was just like my first 3. And yeah, so I come back home. Crazy, literally was like, okay, you guys, completely transformed. It was like, I'm moving, I'm leaving, like literally leaving everything and everyone behind. And everyone was like, it was like a gag. It was like shocking. Like, what? So cliche, right? I would go to the jungle and I'd come back a whole new person. And this is like, okay, I'm moving. I'm leaving everyone to be alone for a while. But like, that's what happened. That's what it was. And that was the beginning of my cosmic starseed galactic journey. Because when I went to Molokai and those 2.5 years that was spent there, which is me remembering, integrating, processing, and basically training with the guides. And, that's when oh my goddess, like all of my ET experiences started to come in, which is just wild, which maybe I can leave for like another time, but just like the just crazy stuff. But also when my star family was connecting with me and communicating with me as well, especially in the dream time. And like that's when my first ET contact happened. It was with the Pleiadians, and yeah, and they were just like, "Hey, you're Pleiadian. Nice to meet you." And that's all she wrote. So, anyways, so much love, peace, bliss, gratitude, everything and everything in between. Thank you so much. I wanted to share my story and this journey. I felt compelled to do so because in hopes of maybe one day helping someone else, even if it's just like one person, because I know it wasn't easy. You know what I'm saying? And like this whole journey, it didn't happen overnight. Just because I had that awakening at that moment, it wasn't like once I came back down to earth, so to speak, and came back to the city and came back into society, it was like everything came up, you know what I'm saying? And I had to basically, that was the beginning of like my healing process. And I had to clear and work through all the stuff that was in the way of me being in my heart and being in that moment of myself and being with me and who I am. And again, and there's of course, and on top of the fact of like I was blown wide open, so you can imagine just everything, my telepathy was kicking in, and all of my gifts and awarenesses and abilities, so to speak, all came online at that moment. So it was very difficult. Again, like these are things I could touch on in like future videos or whatnot, but I just wanted to share my personal story, my journey, and so I hope this was helpful and you enjoyed it. I know it's kind of like all over the place, and I hope this all made sense because this is me recalling something, my first experience that happened like, oh my gosh, like 10 years ago at this point. You know what I'm saying? I've had like a dozen more after. So again, thank you again. And if there's ever anything that I can do to be of service, or if you ever have any questions and you'd like to reach out and to connect with me, have any more questions, whatever, please feel free to do so. So infinite love, peace, bliss, blessings, gratitude, and everything. Thanks again. And aloha and namaste.